Jainism is an ancient Indian religion that dates back to the 6th century before Christ. It is a philosophy and a way of life that emphasizes the practice of nonviolence, self-control, and detachment from material possessions. Jains believe that all living beings have a soul, and that every living being is capable of achieving enlightenment and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. The fundamental teachings of Jainism are encapsulated in the concept of ahisma, or nonviolence. Jains believe that all life is sacred and every living being, includes plant and animal, have a soul that deserves respect and compassion. As a result, Jains have very strict dietary restrictions to avoid harming any living being, even accidentally. This commitment to nonviolence extends to every aspect of their life, including clothing and behavior toward others. The core teaching of Jainism is the pursuit of self-control and detachment from material possession. They believe that desire and attachment are the root causes of suffering, and by practicing self-control and detachment, they can achieve inner peace and spiritual liberation. They live a simple lifestyle, avoiding excess and luxury, and strive for a living state of mental and emotional equilibrium. Jainism also places great emphasis on the pursuit of knowledge and the importance of education. Jains believe that knowledge is essential to the spiritual journey, and that it is the only through learning and understanding that can achieve enlightenment. The practice of Jainism is centered around the 5 great vows, which are non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, celibacy, and non-possession. Jains believe that by following these vows, they can purify their mind and attain a state of spiritual purity.
Jina, the first fundamental. It refers to the path of victory in surpassing the continuous cycle of rebirth, which Jains believe can only be achieved by eliminating karma, an ethical and very spiritual lifestyle. Jiva. Jivas have consciousness known as the soul. The soul and the body are 2 different entities. The soul cannot be reproduced. It is described as a sort of energy which is indestructible, invisible, and shapeless. A jiva, or non-living matter. Anything that is not a soul is called a jiva. A jiva does not have consciousness. Punya, results of a good deed. By undertaking these wholesome activities, we acquire punya, or good karmas. Such activities are providing food or other items to the needy people, doing charity work, or propagating religion. Asrava, influx of karmas. The influx of karman particles to the soul is known as asrav. It is caused by wrong belief, vowlessness, observing no vows, passions, and negligence. Such an influx of karmas is facilitated by mental, verbal, or physical activities. Bondage of karmas. This refers to the actual binding of karman particles to the soul. Bond occurs when we react to any situation with a sense of attachment or aversion. Samvar, stoppage of karmas. This is the process by which the influx of karman particles is stopped. This is achieved by observing carefulness, control, moksha, contemplating the 12 mental reflections, and suffering. Nirjara, eradication of karmas. The process by which we shed off karmas is called nirjara. Karmas can be shed off either by passive or active efforts. When we passively wait for karmas to mature and give their results, in due time it is called akam nijara. And finally, moksha, or liberation. When we get rid of all karmas, we attain liberation or moksha. Lifestyle and non-violence, ahimsa. For a proper understanding of the whole matter, you must first understand the concept of spiritual non-violence. Merely living together on a basis of practical nonviolence is no guarantee of true and lasting nonviolence. By spiritual nonviolence, it is based on the unity and equality of all souls and souls of the sentient. Once we know that every living being is subject to pain and pleasure in the same manner and that we must never inflict any pain on them. And it is only nonviolence that can prevent the arson, loot, rioting, and killings going on in society. For evaluating someone's or something's true worth or behavioral angle, it is utterly misleading because it can evaluate only external things and attributes. Inner worth is best assessed spiritually. As far as nonviolence is concerned, we talk profusely but think very little about it. Mahavira, the God and leader. Mahavira's message reflects freedom and spiritual joy of the living being, conception of God as creator, protector, and destroyer. Mahavira is regarded as the man who gave Jainism its present-day form. He also denounced the worship of gods and goddesses as means of salvation.
The four passions, or kashayas. In Jainism, passions are referred to as kashaya and are the primary causes of human suffering and bondage to the circle of life and death. The four main passions are krodha, anger. This passion arises when one's expectations are not met, leading to frustration and hostility towards other people. 2. Labha, greed. This passion arises when someone is excessively attached to material possessions, leading to selfishness. 3. Moha, attachments. This passion arises when one becomes overly attached to people or objects, leading to insecurity and emotional attachment. 4. Mada, or ego. This passion arises when one is self-centered, leading to a lack of empathy for others. For Jains, these passions are seen as obstacles to reaching liberation. To overcome these passions, Jain practices the three jewels, called Triyatna. The first jewel is the right faith, and it means having an understanding of the nature of reality, including the existence of the soul and the law of karma. The second one is right knowledge, refers to acquiring the knowledge of the true nature of things in the universe, which can only be achieved through the practice of meditation and self-reflection. The third one is right conduct, involves living a life of ethical and moral conduct.
The Jainism religion is split into two categories of monks: Svetambara monks and Digambara monks. Svetambara monks are expected to wear thin white robes, whereas Digambara monks are forbidden to wear any clothing at all. The nuns are expected to be fully clothed in traditional white clothes. Jainists will go nude and barefoot in order to protect and avoid harming insects or anything that they might otherwise harm. Some Jainist believers are seen wearing mouth coverings, which are worn in hopes to prevent killing anything airborne or small enough that they might inhale or ingest and kill. Jainists often will neglect brushing their teeth and bathing in order to prevent killing any microorganisms that may be present living in their mouth or on their bodies. The white-colored cloth masks are called muapati. During prayer, Jains sometimes use mala or strings of prayer beads. These consist of a circle of 108 beads in a repeating pattern, 5 white and 4 colored beads. Sometimes a red yarn bracelet will also be worn, which is a representation of protection from bad or evil. In Jain temples, only freshly cleaned clothing may be worn, and no leather or silk is allowed due to their non-violence beliefs. Jainists believe that wool is deemed acceptable because it grows back and does not injure or hurt the sheep. Women do wear the bindi, or the traditional red dot, in between their eyebrows. In most places of worship, there is a small pool present in order to cleanse one's feet before worship from the dirt from the streets. Digambara temples have plain statues of the Tirthankara. Svetambara temples have a more decorated look with painted statues, jewelry, gold, and flowers as a devotion to their deities. Svetambara monks are only allowed to eat whatever food they can fit into their wooden cup that they make themselves and must be incredibly careful not to drop anything on the ground. Digambara monks are only allowed to eat whatever food they can fit into their cupped hands and again must be very careful not to drop anything on the ground for fear that it might kill a microorganism. During the monsoon festival, which extends from June to September, Jainists do not consume any leafy green vegetables because they believe that it might have damaged the homes of any bugs that haven't inhabited the veggies. Jainists traditionally do not eat anything underground, anything that grows underground, potatoes, carrots, onions, etc., because harvesting these food kills the plants. Jains also do not eat after sunset in case there's a bug in their food and they consume the bug and kill it. Some ascetic monks and nuns will carry around a feather duster to dust the roads that they are walking on to sweep any tiny souls or insects that are on their path. Leftovers are forbidden because Jains believe that this food may have collected too many microbes already. Honey is also forbidden because it is seen as violence against the bees.